wanted the best? You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Folks, it's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There are things that makes it official. We are live once again on the Chris Voss Show, coming out to you for all the different channels we dominate. Be sure for your family show and family, friends, and relatives, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Facebook.com/Chris Voss, and all those crazy places on the internet. Today, amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking about his hot book series called The Rise to Power, Revised Edition, the Legacy series. We'll lead off with the first book in the series and talk about the other two. David Francis Cook joins us on the show. We're going to get into with him and some of the details of why he wrote the book and what it's about. David Francis Cook is the author of the Legacy series. He was born and educated in England, which means he's smarter than us here in the U.S. No, I'm just kidding. I know. I'm sure they have a great school system there in England. He first immigrated to the U.S. in 1967 and moved to America permanently in the 70s. His own legacy is steeped in history. In 1917, his grandfather started in the burgeoning aerospace industry. Decades later, David started as a machinist in the industry, worked his way up through several major aerospace manufacturers. In 1982, he started his own business, which grew to the largest wing manufacturing company in the world. Everybody needs wings, last time I checked. That's what Red Bull says. Anyway, he developed into an accomplished writer and speaker in that industry, selling the business to a Belgian consortium in 2003. David has been studying, writing, and growing his writing legacy in the 2 decades since. He travels around the world and has enabled him to study and understand other cultures, contributing to his series of books. He built his own 2.5-mile racetrack in North Texas. There you go. The region of the U.S. where most of his grandchildren and family can live. He has a home in Canada from which he likes to write, and he writes books that stress work ethic, discipline, and deep-rooted values needed to reach for one's dreams. Welcome to the show. How are you, David?
I'm good, thank you. I'm getting ready for Christmas season.
It's Christmas 2025 if you're watching this video years from now on YouTube. So, yeah, Merry Christmas. Are you in Canada or are you in the U.S. right now enjoying
I'm
winter?
Down here in Texas.
Texas. That's quite the difference in play you guys do there, going from Texas to Canada, especially this time of year where there's snow on the ground up into Canada. Is that a bit of a culture shock when you go back and forth, or weather shock?
Not really. I had to do a lot of work up in Canada since about 2002 to about 2004 for designing and manufacturing wings for aircraft. So that's what brought me there, because that was my engineering background was what brought me to Canada for these specific wings to be made.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So the wings are made in Canada. Great.
Yes. They're in Canada. That's where I started. But yes, that's where Canada is where the main manufacturing was made when I'm there. It's still happening today.
Wow. We love Canada. We love Canadians. They're the nicest people in the world. So give us any .coms. Where do you want people to find you on the interwebs?
On the for books and things like that. My books are there with Amazon, mainly Amazon. You're probably the first person to come in to be with me in this situation, because most of my life I've been working my ass off, and I've been in engineering work and all kinds of things. And when it came to 2012 and I semi-retired, I was in my early 70s. I said, it's about time I did something else. I want to write a book. And I've dreamt of writing a book all my life. But I went to work on this in this book as it starts with the rise to power. which was a young man who started in his age of 13 and who was going on to his senior school. And then the books was The Temptation to Greed. Problem being with people, when they get too successful, they go beyond their means. So the second book kind of gives that opinion. In the third book, it's all about he has a leaning towards not his religious, but his spiritual side of life. And he wanted to bring about things that people should know. And a lot of things in the justification for injustice is sometimes by life of a higher purpose treats you a hell of a lot more than you think you know.
There you go. Live that higher purpose. So tell us some of the characters in the book. Describe maybe some of
the main character of the book, and it starts the overall story goes from 1704, believe it or not, to 2033, but a lot of that is historical. So James's story starts in 1958. He's 13 years old, and he's very anxious to get ahead with his new work, which is in the last part of his education. And so he works. It starts out where James is sitting there having his breakfast, and his father calls in and tells him, "Hey, it's about time you learned something about your family." So he picks him up, he takes him down the long hallway. To give you some background, they're obviously a wealthy family. They're in they're in the farming industry, but the family has been in shipping and banking since the early days of life. Not life, I'd say, but since 1704. So he wasn't part of that, but he's part of the history and the family that created where James Bannerman, who is the main character of the book, he's only 13 and he's ready to start to get into life and get cracking.
There you go.
So they go down the hallway. The father takes him out and he says, "It's time you learned something about about us and your country, my boy." So he goes up and down the hallways and talks to all the past, how shall I say, earls of the society, of who their characters are and how they built what he has today since 1704. And
wow.
So there's a whole history there. Outside that, there's a very interesting part of the book, which has in the main house, which is a large mansion house, it's been around a long time, has an east wing. In the east wing, there's a lot of things that get saved, artifacts, all kinds of things that belong to the history of their life and what goes on. But in this main east room, they used to have not parliaments, but all kinds of people to come out and look at all the things that have been collected through their family through the year. They can also turn it into a ballroom or whatever they want to do. Now, in this throne room, which is very interesting, there's a throne.
That's always good.
And nobody knows what this throne is. This have you seen the picture of my books? Yes,
I have the cover.
Okay, that cover gives you an idea. There's a throne there and there's something above it, right? Nobody's in the family has solved what this throne is, other than the fact that it came from the Far East. And it's part of the family, and it ended up in this east room. And James is sitting down there thinking about, well, it's about time I sat on this damn thing. And I've been watching it all my life and everything else. What does it do? What's this throne supposed to do? He moves over to it, and he starts to sit down in it. And all of a sudden, he realizes something very different. And all the rest of the people who are watching him just see him as a steady person, but he advances through to a higher level.
Mm.
This is the 3 dimension in this particular earth.
Mm.
He moves to what is called the 5th dimension.
Mm.
So there's a whole story there where he goes through the light, the power, and everything else, and he finds himself sitting on a beach, and he realizes this man comes up to talk to him. And he thinks, my God, what's happened? Am I dead? What happened there? Did I disappear? And the man said, my God, you finally caught up with me. Now come over here. I'm going to teach you some lessons. And so he goes into the whole story of telling him about his past lives, where he is today, and where he's going to be going for tomorrow. James is absolutely saying, God, am I dead? What the hell happened? He said, don't worry. He says, I'll let you get back to where you need to be. But he says there's a lot of people who don't realize that life on earth is not about 3 dimensions. There's a whole journey of the universe to be learned. However, the little bit of time that we are on this planet, which is the 70, as the Bible says, or 100 years, or whatever it is extremely short. If you can imagine the galaxies and all the various things that are in the universe, the planet Earth is peanuts. You can only go as far as about the outer zones of Pluto and the other places, and you can't even, you couldn't even, how shall I say, talk of what happens in just this galaxy. So it's a huge subject of which he becomes extremely fascinated and interested with. Not to get, it's down to earth, it's got all the subjects there, but from there onwards, the story starts to take its place, where he starts to go to his schools, etc., etc. You got any more things you want to know?
There you go. And so this character goes through the books, and then tell us about the other books in the trilogy, the second and the third one.
That story takes him all the way. He has to learn to be all the things that his family and everything has done. The second book moves into where he's now got his position, he's got his power in life, and his father has died in the process. And in the first book, he goes through with that essence in the what do they call it, the throne room, but in the second book, he is starting to start his life to earn money and build the business. And because his family is connected to so many places in the world, after all, they've been in business now for over 200 years, and his father's died. He, at a very early age of 20, has to take over the businesses. The businesses are in London. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Something came up on the screen. He's out there to learn and go through where a lot of his family and people that he's known are in this next part of the book. And it's in it, there's love affairs, there's all kinds of stories of family that is enormous. It'd be too big to even explain it. So it has its dimension, it has its philosophical things that he's very fascinated with, but not all. He doesn't show this in the book with all his other people. He has very few people that most people would say, what the hell are you talking about? People don't understand all that kind of stuff. So he has to tread very carefully with his thoughts and his ways. But his main role now in his second book is to make his life happen. And that takes him, because he's a person that knows very much about his family before, he starts on his journey to go to many places in the world in order to advance, first of all, his banking. Second of all, his family has a shipping empire. Yeah. And in addition to that, the banking, the shipping, and his everyday work, he has a farm and about 5,000 acres. So the whole is, I mean, I can explain it to you, but there's an awful lot to be said. And it goes back.
We want people to buy the book, so definitely want to leave some of it in the dark.
I have a lot of people who are very fascinated with what's written, and it's different. What I'm trying to do is engage in, for all of us, we're not here that long. I think you would believe in life. Yeah. And I think it's very important to realize that in today's world, we have become extremely, what would the right word be? Materialistic.
Really?
And there's materialistic in that I need this, I need to buy that, I need to have this, I need all these things, and then I feel good. And if I don't have what I should have and what I've worked for, I'm not happy.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going around these days.
Exactly. It's happy. Whereas instead of realizing that you have reached an extremely fortunate place of life, but usually that comes with luxury. And when you have this luxury, you tend to not be, you don't push as hard as you should. You get lazy. And when you sit back in the earlier ages where life was tougher, you had to get out there and work for it.
Yeah, gotta get out and work for it.
Even though we think life is tough and it's difficult, in a way, we are probably, from a living point of view, one of the best places that we could be in the future. And but what's the problem today is that we have to grow beyond what we are, and that. And in the realm of what I went with when he goes to see his master, obviously the big thing is that you move from being a materialistic person, you have energy. The growth of a person in your afterlives, if you meet that point, or if you believe in reincarnation, some people do, some people don't. But in realizing these things, life is a journey to learn. And the tougher you are, you don't have to be brilliant or anything else. If you have that strength inside you, you'll go somewhere. But in a lot of places, you don't have that opportunity, and you get stuck, and you run and especially when, funny enough, the people that get rich get lazy and are not strong. And we need to, instead of wanting more and more and more to be happy, that's not the journey of life. The journey of life is about doing things, designing things, creating things, not for materialism, but for the joy of adding and making a difference.
Yeah. And tell us about the third book.
The third book is the final book where he reaches his zone. He ends up being a billionaire, and he works all across from, the book goes all the way from China, Hong Kong, all the way through the Russias, parts of Africa. And the final part of the book, before the end of it, goes towards Argentina. So there's a whole story of characters and feelings and shipping. And a lot of personalities in this, which if I had to give you all these personalities, I've written today 43 different situations.
Oh, wow.
So it's something where you've got to get your feet into, but I try to keep it interest because there's a lot of people, characters, people of all different backgrounds.
Ah, lovely. Why do you think that's important to have that? Does it give you a variety, or what motivates you in that way?
Well, what I see is that to be a lot of people who become successful peter out. And the real purpose of our existence is the growth of us. It's about how do we see, in other words, not to sound wimpy, but the real essence of the book, of the story of life, is love. And that is the most powerful force in the universe.
Love conquers all, as they say, I think. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah. It's a long book, but it's got so much fun, all the different characters. And I mean, it would be impossible. It would be easier for me to answer a question and answer period, because there's so much to be read. And it took me 5 years to write these books.
Well, there you go.
But anyway,
5 years. Wow, that's quite the love of work.
Well, that's what I've been all my life, actually. But when I said, because I was machining, manufacturing, all those things, which I could keep you busy all the time. But it's about doing. Life is about doing, accomplishing. And I do believe, in my way of seeing life, we are in a lower dimension. It's more materialistic, but the effort is, and it's tough, but you have to grow. And by growing, you find the finest part of yourself.
There you go. You find the finest part of yourself when you grow. Sounds like that could be a book title or a coffee cup.
Yes,
for sure.
And the book, that's well said. And the book describes that. It's his father's strict. Even though he comes from a wealthy family, nobody's giving it to him on a plate. You better get out there and make it happen.
Yeah.
It's not, in the world that we've come to move towards, it's become softer. And where things become better is, I'm owed that. No, you get out there and you show people. You in those things, you create the real, I would say, from I'm not religious, but in a spiritual way, it's the journey of life. This is how you grow. And if you have it too soft, you won't grow.
Yeah. Well, you got to grow, or else life will kick you in the butt and make you grow. That's what I found.
Absolutely.
Life kind of doesn't put up with your shit. It goes, oh, wait, you're not growing? We're going to kick your door in and feed you some life.
Absolutely. That's true. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And the thing is, even though giving is important, but in trying to do things to improve things, whether it's for the man in the street at this point, this is the part of you that makes things other people admire, and it goes forward. We don't have enough of that in today's world.
Yeah. Don't have enough of it in today's world. There you go. Yeah, I mean, it's something you need to think about. And I'm glad you've kind of put these life lessons in the books, it sounds like.
There's a lot. I mean, I would love to sit down with a whole bunch of you and really, have a chat and show you a little bit more than I can just talking to you on a phone. But there's all kinds of characters, people who have done things in their lives, and it's easy to be moaning and groaning, and this didn't happen and that didn't happen. The best part of life is, can you make it happen? Can you do that? Can you go there? And show an example to people. And it's the number of people in the human race of that behavior are limited.
Yeah, most limited. Yeah. So you wrote this over 5 years, the series. Yeah. Is there any future books that are coming out for the series, or is it you pretty much got it in the can, capped?
No. I've done it. I'm now 81. So I've been working all my life. But I am in another book called, what was it? It's L' earning. Learning connects, right? So it's by earning and learning that you become. So that's the kind of book that I'm writing right now.
That is the way you become.
Yes, it's in other words, whether you God, Jesus Christ, whatever you believe, those are your beliefs. But those are the qualities where you become something, not because of the money or the power, because there's such a satisfaction in being good at your trade, what you do, what you think of, how you write, how you design your life. Anyway, these stories are all in my book. And I've got all the characters and the people and the different personalities that are available in the book. And it goes all over the world.
Yeah, definitely. And it's great the impact you have all over the world and stuff. What has the response been so far by people who've been reading the series?
So far I have not had time, and I'm just having time now to be able to how shall I say, help people understand the book that I've written. And Amazon is the only place that has it. I haven't really done any marketing, nothing. You are the first person that I'm talking to.
All right. So we're good to have you on the first part of this. I noticed there's some colored stones that seem to be across the spectrum of like the main colors that we use. Looks like maybe purple, gray, blue, green, yellow, red, orange, maybe. I think I'm just kind of looking at the screen. So yeah. What are those? Those kind of look like maroon stones from that one Marvel movie or something like that.
Well, so what are you referring to?
On the back of the chair, or at least the back that you sit in portion, there's a colored bunch of buttons or stones or
okay. Those are the not the dimensions, but they are the things within your body.
Oh,
and some people there's parts of your body for your health. There's other parts for what you see, your mind, everything else, and they're connected with which comes from the mind, from the body. You control that in your body, and they got different colors.
Okay.
And it's not my particular art, but it is there's a name for it, for these different things.
Which chakra? No. Maybe.
Yeah, the chakra. Very good.
Chakra. Okay.
Yeah, it's the chakras. And there's the colors of the chakras. And it goes all the way to, as you evolve and as you learn, it helps you with your digestion, every single thing. You're part of this life here, but you evolve to what they call the mind, the higher part of your body, which is I've got all that stuff down, but it's where for what somebody would say, who is in a very high mind, it is in the God light, which is in the higher part of your brain.
Yeah,
and that's not BS. That's fact. There is a place there, and that's exactly what this crown or this area tries to accept. That hey, to move out, the energy and power is out there. It's beyond what we are in this material world. And that's what I've been working with, and that's what my stories are, and the characters are, and how some of them are very upset with life and miserable with life, and you gotta turn that around.
You gotta turn it around. It's the only way to turn it around.
As my dad told me, he says, "Well, we don't want too much of that. We don't want all the we don't want them taking all our work." But that's just a different way of seeing life. He was good. He was tough at what he did, his job. But there's so much to discuss in front of a person, language to language, but it's the other point that I did in my books is I had to, because of my work and engineering and wings, aircraft wings, and all kinds of things that I developed in my work, and building of statues and all kinds of things in different parts of China and all the way through, is been a tremendous. I've learned so much, and the thing is, I find that we tend to be, how shall I say? I don't like to say the word racist, but when you get to other cultures and other parts of the world, and you really go out there in a working way to understand, you will find, God, these people are nothing like I thought.
Mm-hmm.
This is, everybody comes back to, they're like this. And he said, that's a load of bullshit. So the story brings out the possibilities that are abundant for success and humankind.
Yeah, we need successful stories. Hope is the great thing that everyone loves, right? Hope.
An example is, I'm sure you're probably a good fan of Donald Trump.
No, not at all.
You're not. I'm not. But basically, there's so much to with the two-party system. I'm sure you carry out with that. It's time, and I'm just a person, and I was in Parliament, in London Parliament, England.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we would never have two systems, two
parties.
Yeah, two parties, because all they're going to do is fight each other.
That's what they do too.
And what? Who gets anywhere? We're just going around in circles. Yeah. You need, even if it's a small amount of people, have that something where, we better talk to them. Let's see this. Even if it's small, it will keep a blend and get rid of this. What I see, being English and having spent, I came to America in 1967, and I was 21 years old, and I've learned a lot in the manufacturing and everything. I found out that we need to be even your thoughts may be different to mine, but how can we work those thoughts to make it happen? Not how we can beat the other guy up and shut everything up. What's the point? It's ridiculous. We can learn from each other. And that true. We have not got to. And that's all in my books. Yeah.
There you go. It describes the struggle within there, as it were. I love you guys' parliament in England, the House of Lords. And I love watching you guys shouting at each other and yelling at each other. It's good fun to watch.
Yeah, that's okay, but it's how shall I say, it's in control.
Yeah, that's true.
It's control. You don't see anybody. It's part of they've been doing that since it goes back to Alfred the Great, which is a story in the 8th century. And then they had this poem which goes, men of finance who look to scance with royal power unfettered, whose deep design in 89, by putting an end to right divine, that's getting rid of the kings and their rights divine, our constitution bettered. That happened in 1689, when the British, the Parliament and everything else, they got rid of all these people being the only part that's left to it today. And it, in some ways it's good, but it's not perfect, is that the, how shall I say, I'm trying to think of the word, but it's not, we've had a long time at history, and the country is quite knowledgeable. Obviously, England's not the country that it was in the time of Queen Victoria in the 19th centuries, but there's a lot there that has not come through, and we've started to digress. We're not going forward. And that's what I think King William's trying to do when he's moving forward right now, is to open this up. And what we've only got left is this monarchy. Are you aware of the monarchy?
Yeah. I think it's kind of interesting. God save the Queen. I really love Queen Elizabeth, and boy, what a life she led, right? With the things she must have seen, and the
she was an amazing
experiences that she must have had with, she lived through like, I think 10 of our presidents or something like that, maybe 8.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 10 or 14. She
Over
lived through all of our
70 years.
presidents. Yeah. She probably, she knew Churchill. I would have loved to just sat with her and said, please tell me about Churchill, what you thought. And I would have paid every penny that I would ever earn in my lifetime to be able to sit with her and go, tell me all this shit. Tell me all the stuff no one knows about.
There's plenty of it too.
I'll bet she had to endure a lot of crap where she just like, for reals, I'm the queen. I'll have your head. But
you gotta be careful. But I think we right now in today's world, the monarchy, as much as I'm a monarchist, old fashioned and everything else, there's something about America I like.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's that freedom. If anything, I would say.
Do you still have freedom?
Yeah, well, this is it. That's the point I'm trying to make. You're not going to have freedom with two parties.
Yeah, it is something.
How you do that?
It is something. You do see other countries that struggle with, having parliaments. Would you call that a parliamentary system? But they have multiple parties and factions of those parties. Yeah. And you see the struggle. Sometimes they have to have a consistent thing, like Israel every, 5 months dissolves its thing, has a vote, and I'm not just picking on Israel. There's some countries that, like France, I think, didn't they just fire the chancellor or something, and they dissolved the party because they all the factions couldn't get along with each other and in the assorted government they built. So it's a challenging time right now for democracy. Let's put it that way.
Oh, tell me, it's very challenging.
Never thought I'd see the rise of Nazis and what's the thing that seems to be rising in the government sort of ruling? It starts with a P. Anyway, the rise of the governments we're seeing now, especially in Europe. Europe's under attack now. It has been for some time with Brexit and stuff. But what's the party that I'm thinking of? The political movement that I'm thinking of, where they believe in ideologues, and it starts with a P. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, It's great your book highlights this and talks about some of these issues, and of course how to create maybe a better world of character and modes, and maybe rising tide lifts all boats, as opposed to scarcity where I get mine and I take yours, sort of thing.
What I see is clear. What's your name? Sorry,
Chris.
Sorry, Chris. Is what I see is that we have forgotten the people in the past amongst us. In other words, there's nothing wrong with getting out there, making a buck, being successful. But if you're not going to help the people, the man in the street, where the hell are you going? You've got to raise up. In other words, as much as it's great, be successful, make all the money you want, but don't forget the people who are sitting down there in the road working their damn ass off. And I think in other words, you're only as good as the people behind.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got a lot in. I love the United States, but that's not being recognized. And not to be communist or socialist or anything like that. You got to bring up the rear.
Yeah. Somebody's got to bring up the rear.
Otherwise, you're going to have all this misery and all these problems, and it's going to cost the government twice as much.
Yeah.
You want innovation. And I've been a politician, as I say, in Parliament. And you gotta see the structure of the world. It's okay for everybody to be great, to have these things and everything else, but bring up the rear.
Bring up the rear. That's what I always say. Sometimes late at night.
That would make a good book.
Yeah. There you go.
But anyway.
All right. So, David, give us a final pitch out for people who order up your book in the series and your .coms, where they can find you on the internet.
Well, basically, Amazon is where I'm at the moment. I've got to probably make a little more effort towards other parts of the community. You know,
you got to advertise it.
I have to advertise more than I have. I've been so busy in my work, and I'm now at a point in my time, because I'm talking to you, to say, hey, I'm finally trying to tell everybody that I've actually done some things.
There you go. Well, get the word out. Get the word out. People can order the book, and maybe if the book really becomes a hit and the series becomes a hit, do you see yourself maybe taking the character on some more rides, or would you create maybe something new?
No. Basically, what I believe because of today's work, Chris, you would know, I'm sure your experience, is that in today's world, people are not into writing and all the things that I've been doing in my life. They're more into the reading. They're more into movies and all these kind of things, films.
Oh.
So I do see that that's the best journey for what I've written, because it has all the characters, the personalities, the ups and downs, the higher and the lower parts, and all of it's a story which is I've taken a long time to write about all these different characters. And if you just taste a little bit of my book, if you get a chance, or I'll send you my books if you want them, they're free of charge to you. And hey, if it's something that hits you, you think, hey, there's more to this than I realized.
Yeah. More to life than you realize, and all that good stuff. So there you go. There you go. What a thing. What a thing. So give me your .coms as we go out so people can have that.
.coms. I'm just on Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon, and that's about where I'm at. I haven't.
There you go.
I need to market too.
Yeah, you got it. We need to get you a website.
I've been working. I got to get off my ass.
There you go. Well, you're doing a great job of it so far, and it's been wonderful to have on the show, man. Thank you very much, David, for coming on.
You're most welcome. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Order up David's book wherever fine books are sold, in the Soul series, actually. The Rise to Power, revised edition, the Legacy series. Book one in the series we've been discussing, and the other two books, catch them as well. To my good friends, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the interwebs in the sky. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.